Hey, this is Mark, and you're welcome to AUTOSAYS. It's 3 in the morning, you can't sleep, your mind's racing with problems you can't solve, and suddenly you find yourself grabbing your car keys. You're not going anywhere specific, you're just driving. The engine hums, the road stretches ahead, and for the first time all day, you can actually breathe. Sound familiar? If you've ever used your car as an escape pod from reality, you're not alone. And today we're diving deep into why millions of people treat their vehicles like rolling therapy sessions. Before we get into the psychology behind this phenomenon, do me a favor and smash that like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button because we're about to explore something that might just explain your entire relationship with your car. Now, let's talk about something most people won't admit. Their car isn't just transportation, it's their sanctuary. Their fortress of solitude, their mobile meditation chamber. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just some modern quirk of stressed out Americans. This relationship between humans and their vehicles has roots that go back over a century, and it's tied directly to how we built our entire economy around the automobile. Back in 1908, when Henry Ford introduced the Model T with a price tag of $825, equivalent to about $25,000 today, he wasn't just selling a car, he was selling freedom. Think about it. Before the automobile, you were stuck. Your life was confined to wherever a horse could reasonably take you or wherever the railroad happened to run. Ford's assembly line revolution dropped the Model T's price to just $260 by 1925, and suddenly the average American worker could afford what had been a luxury item. But something unexpected happened. People didn't just use cars to get to work or visit relatives, they started using them to get away from everything. The American road trip was born not out of necessity, but out of a desperate need to escape. Fast forward to the 1950s and we see this relationship deepen. Post-war America was booming economically, suburban sprawl was exploding, and cars became even more crucial. The average American was now spending about 15% of their household income on their vehicle, a figure that's jumped to nearly 20% today when you factor in car payments, insurance, fuel, and maintenance. That's roughly $12,000 a year for the average household. But why would people pour so much money into what's technically a depreciating asset? Because it's not really about the asset. It's about what that asset provides, control. When everything else in your life feels chaotic, your car is the one place where you're in the driver's seat, literally. You control the temperature, the music, the destination, the speed, and nobody can take that away from you. Now, here's something that'll blow your mind. Studies show that the average American spends about 51 minutes per day in their car. That's 300 hours per year, roughly equivalent to 7.5 work weeks. We're spending nearly 2 months of every year inside our vehicles, and for many people, those are the only moments of genuine solitude they get. Think about your own life for a second. When was the last time you were truly alone with your thoughts? Not scrolling through your phone, not watching TV, not talking to someone, just you and your mind. For most people, it's in the car. And this isn't accidental. The automotive industry figured out decades ago that they weren't just selling transportation, they were selling experience, emotion, escape. Look at car commercials from any era. They're never really about the car's features. They're about freedom, adventure, possibility. They show empty roads, stunning landscapes, and solitary drivers finding peace. The 1960s gave us muscle cars that weren't practical for anything except making you feel powerful. The 1970s brought us luxury sedans with interiors designed to rival your living room. The 80s introduced us to minivans that became mobile family kingdoms. And today, we've got vehicles with massage seats, ambient lighting, premium sound systems that cost more than most people's home entertainment setups, and technology that can practically drive itself. The modern car isn't a vehicle anymore. It's a mobile living room, office, and therapy session all rolled into one. But let's dig into the psychology here, because this is where things get really fascinating. There's actual science behind why driving feels therapeutic. When you're driving, especially on familiar routes, your brain enters what psychologists call a softly focused state. You're engaged enough to be safe, but not so engaged that your conscious mind can't wander. It's similar to the mental state people achieve through meditation, showering, or walking, activities that famously produce creative insights and emotional processing. Your hands are busy with the wheel, your eyes are watching the road, but your mind is free to work through problems, process emotions, and make connections it couldn't make when you were actively trying to solve something. Have you ever noticed how your best ideas come when you're driving? There's a reason for that. But here's the darker side that nobody wants to talk about. For some people, the car isn't just an escape, it's the only escape. Think about the parent who sits in their car in the driveway for 20 minutes after getting home from work, gathering the strength to face family chaos. Consider the person who drives aimlessly for hours because going home means confronting a relationship that's falling apart. Or the young professional who takes the long route home every single day because those extra 30 minutes in the car are the only time they feel like themselves. This is where the therapy aspect becomes literal. According to mental health professionals, using your car as a coping mechanism isn't inherently unhealthy, but it becomes a problem when it's your only coping mechanism. When driving becomes less about enjoying the experience and more about avoiding reality, that's when you've crossed the line. And given that Americans collectively spend over $70 billion annually on automotive therapy, buying cars we can't quite afford, modifying them obsessively, or trading them in constantly for something new, it's clear that many people have crossed that line without even realizing it. Let's talk money for a minute, because this gets expensive fast. The average new car price in America hit $48,000 in 2024. That's not a luxury vehicle, that's the average. For something that depreciates 20% the moment you drive it off the lot and loses about 15% of its value every year after that, we're making a massive financial commitment. And here's the kicker. Most people are financing these purchases over 72 or even 84 months now. That's 7 years of payments for something that might not even last 7 years without major repairs. But people do it anyway because the emotional value outweighs the financial logic. Your car represents freedom, control, identity, and escape. How do you put a price on that? The automotive industry knows this, which is why they've become masters at marketing emotion rather than utility. They're not selling you transportation, they're selling you a solution to existential dread. And it works. Throughout history, cars have been tied to moments of cultural transformation and personal liberation. In the 1920s, the automobile gave women unprecedented freedom to travel without male chaperones, fundamentally changing social dynamics. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, even as people struggled to afford basic necessities, they held on to their cars because they represented hope and the possibility of finding work elsewhere. In the 1960s, the counterculture movement embraced vans and buses as mobile homes, rejecting conventional society in favor of the open road. And today, in an era of unprecedented connectivity and constant surveillance, your car remains one of the few places where you can be truly off the grid, at least mentally. But here's a question worth considering. What does it say about our society that so many people need to escape it regularly? That we've built our entire infrastructure around vehicles that enable isolation? That the average American would rather spend an hour alone in traffic than take public transportation where they'd have to interact with other humans? Maybe cars aren't just therapy, maybe they're a symptom of a larger problem. A society so overwhelming, so demanding, so intrusive that we need a 2-ton metal bubble just to feel like we can think clearly. And yet, despite all this, there's something undeniably beautiful about the relationship between humans and their cars. It's genuine. When someone tells you about their first car, their eyes light up with a nostalgia that's almost childlike. When enthusiasts gather at car shows, they're not just comparing horsepower and modifications, they're sharing stories, memories, moments when their car was there for them in ways people weren't. The car community understands something fundamental. These machines aren't just objects, they're companions in our life journey. So where does this leave us? As we move toward an uncertain automotive future with electric vehicles, autonomous driving, and subscription-based car ownership models, will cars still serve this therapeutic function? Or will we lose something essential when we're no longer in control, when the car drives itself and we're just passengers? Only time will tell, but one thing's certain: the human need for escape, for control, for a space that's entirely our own, that's not going anywhere. Whether it's a 1967 Mustang or a 2025 Tesla, whether it's a midnight drive to nowhere or a daily commute that takes the long way home, cars will continue to be more than transportation. They'll continue to be our mobile sanctuaries, our rolling confessionals, our steel and glass therapy sessions on wheels. So the next time you find yourself sitting in your car for no particular reason, engine running, music playing, mind wandering, don't feel weird about it. You're participating in a century-old tradition of using automobiles as escape vehicles for the soul. Just maybe make sure it's a healthy escape and not the only one you've got. If this video made you think differently about your relationship with your car, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me about your favorite driving escape, and subscribe because we've got more deep dives into automotive culture coming your way. Until next time, keep driving, keep thinking, and remember, sometimes the journey isn't about the destination, it's about the peace you find between where you were and where you're going. This is Mark, and you've been watching AUTOSAYS.